you?
Hi, Faye. It's great to see you again.
One of my ultimate faves. Thank you for coming back for health, wellness, and lifestyle. I look forward beyond words to getting together, whether it's day or evening or night. And I'm super excited you're with us today. And you've been on my mind because obviously a lot of people know I'm Greek and I love traveling, to my hometown in Greece. And a lot of people want as soon as we get to the next phase. I don't want to say new norm, but when we get to the next phase, people are thinking about planning a trip and going away. And there's a lot of questions because there's certain things that are essential to going
Correct.
away, health wise, things we need to have intact, which I might say it wrong. That's why I wanted to talk to you. I don't know if it's the health passport or passport health or something like that. So definitely need to talk to you today.
Wonderful. I'm the medical director for International Travel Medicine, a corporation that runs franchises for Passport Health in Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, Nassau County, and Suffolk County. Passport Health is divided into two branches. First, we're the largest provider of travel medicine services in the United States. And second, Passport Health also provides preventative medical services for individuals and for other businesses.
So you're able to help through this. You're able to essentially service from an individual to a company.
Correct. We provide concierge services to individuals, and then sometimes individual corporations and businesses will hire us in to provide our services on site to their clients and their employees.
So, like, what's like a main service or something that is essential right now, or something that we need to keep in mind, or like almost like a basic intro checklist, I guess.
The largest services that we provide are for the international traveler. Like, let's say you decide you want to go to Africa. So you start off with your travel agent, you plan your trip, but then where does the travel agent leave off? And where can we come in to help you for your safety? So the first thing that we do when someone is traveling is we bring you in for an in-depth consultation with one of our medical specialists who have been trained with countless hours of specialty services for international travel. And we're going to start with some basic questions, not just you're going to Africa, but where in Africa? What country? Are you staying in a major city and in a 4-star hotel, or are you going to be out in the wilderness? Are you going to be eating at only 4-star restaurants, or are you going to be living off the land? Are you going to be going just for a week, or are you a student who's going there for an entire semester? So all these things take into account your risk factors for certain diseases that you can get when traveling internationally.
Sure.
And we'll also in depth go into your medical history, allergies, and what your specific plans are for when you're in those countries. So you'll meet with one of our providers, and after the consultation is done, we'll then discuss what is recommended and what is mandatory as far as traveling in those countries. For example, there are some countries that you can't even get into without a yellow fever vaccine. For example, a few years ago when I traveled to Kenya and Tanzania, we couldn't even cross the border into Tanzania without proof of yellow fever vaccine. And one of the unique things about Passport Health is that on Long Island, we are the only provider currently of yellow fever vaccine. And in our Manhattan office, in the Midtown office, we're one of the very few providers who can give the yellow fever vaccine.
Wow.
So that's one of the concierge services that we can do for you. And then once we let you know what is mandatory for that reason and what is just recommended, we'll also provide you with security updates and other information from the World Health Organization. And we can even provide for you other medical services that you might need when traveling abroad, like travel insurance, emergency evacuation insurance, even travel gear, and what's the best insect spray and how to prevent insect-borne illnesses while you're traveling. What if you get traveler's diarrhea? We'll give you prescriptions so that you can have it ready when you're there with you and you don't have to seek out medical services there. What if you are going to an area where malaria is endemic? We'll start you on prophylaxis before you go and give you the medication and give you the proper instructions for how long to take it.
I mean, that's pretty amazing because, listen, especially after something like this, what we've been facing now, you might want to plan that trip. You know what? You might say, I'm ready. I need to do something for myself. And when I'm ready to start traveling and doing something, you plan a special trip, you might go somewhere remote. And these things, even though you're in paradise, things happen. So it's great because, there's things you might not know. And it's great because it's something that's essential. And you guys provide this amazing service I had no idea about, which is pretty fantastic. And it's right here on Long Island,
Correct.
So
we have offices in Long Island, in Roslyn Heights and Holbrook.
Which is great. I mean, you cover pretty much all of Long Island, and you cover also Queens and Manhattan, which is fantastic. So
in Brooklyn.
I always tend to forget Brooklyn, so I can. One other thing that I know even from myself, and it's a big question because I'm hoping to get back to Greece to visit my family and my hometown. And we don't know now because things are going to change even more traveling now. There's going to be more requirements. We don't have a vaccine yet, for COVID-19. But I mean, from what they were saying is you might need even a health passport or something to show, have you been tested for antibodies? Is that something you can help and assist people with?
We expect that we'll be one of the first providers to offer the vaccine for COVID-19 when it's available. In fact, a few years ago for H1N1, we were one of the first ones on the scene with vaccinations to provide to clients. And we expect that once the FDA gives its approval, possibly by next winter, if the FDA is able to more speedily give its approval, but hopefully at least within the year, that we should be one of the first providers to offer that.
I mean, it's wonderful that not only, and I keep using the word essential because it's so essential, but it's a concierge, which is, it's almost like it's a luxury to have something like this. It's essential, but it's something that's easily accessible.
Yes.
It's something that's so necessary. I think the more time is evolving, life is changing a little bit, and it's so necessary from an individual. You touched on something which I think is so key, even as a student. We have kids that are in college and they're going to be doing studies abroad. You don't know what's necessary, and there are certain vaccines and stuff that are necessary. So again, that's something that's crucial. But then also for a family, such as myself, we're having 4 children. Depending on where we travel, what's necessary. So one thing that's been on everybody's mind, and even myself, in terms of traveling and planning for future, what's the next step in terms of what we need to do, and that's the antibody testing. And you keep hearing so much, not misinformation, but there's a lot of conflicting information out there. So you don't know. Not all antibody tests are created equal, I guess, from what I've heard. So that's something I really want to talk to you about, and something I think is going to be necessary moving forward. And it's something I believe that's essential that you guys offer, correct?
That's a really good point that you made, Fay. There's a lot of conflicting information and a lot of unknown facts about the COVID-19 pandemic and coronavirus. For some people who have active symptoms, they can go and get their swabs done and IgM antibody testing. But for people who want to know if they had it in the past or if they were exposed to someone who maybe had no symptoms at all, then IgG antibody testing would be a great service, and we do offer that at Passport Health. People ask about the different antibodies, and there's 2 types. There's IgM antibodies, which come up within a few days of exposure, and after a couple of weeks, that wanes. And then there's the IgG antibodies, which usually take at least 2 weeks to form, but they stay with you for a lifetime. So if you test positive to the IgG antibody, it might mean that you have immunity for life. However, we don't know that for sure because sometimes people can lose immunity over a lifetime. And also it's possible that if this virus mutates just a little bit, then that vaccine may not be effective for it. But some people want to know, if I have antibodies, then maybe I won't get the vaccine. Or if I don't have antibodies, maybe you'd want to get that vaccine in the future. So if you test negative for IgG and are considering the vaccine in the future, just keep in mind it's not going to be available until probably winter at the earliest. It might even be a year. It depends on if the FDA is able to fast track approval and production for it.
I'm so happy that because again, like I said, there was a lot of conflicting information, a lot of
Yes.
information about all the antibody tests. I'm so happy that you were able to kind of distinguish the difference between the two, the necessity of it, and also
Yes.
the reality. And also, even though we want to rush and get that vaccine and do it, it'll take some time. And there's certain steps you need to do before, and certain things you need to be aware of.
Yes, and some of the things to be aware of is that, no testing is absolutely 100%. There are occasionally some false positive tests. There may be false negative tests. Oftentimes, the results need to be interpreted with other symptoms that you may or may not have had. So it's not something that you want to take lightly. And that's why there's been a lot of controversy out about all the different testing. There's a lot of testing that's being done in the United States right now that's not authorized by the FDA. And we really have to consider whether this is the information that you want to be given. So we definitely recommend preferably the blood draw test rather than just the little pinprick cartridges. You want to know that it's being done by a reputable source, and also that it's an FDA authorized or FDA approved testing facility.
Well, before we go today, one thing that's you just said, which really hit it home, because I know so many people I've been speaking to, they rush to get out the test, and it's the one you were saying, the one where it's the finger prick, but it doesn't. There's different ways to approach it, but there's the right way of approaching it to get the correct answers. To get a step closer to getting the correct answers, seeing there's a right way and wrong way to get tested, or then a better way of getting tested. And it was so important to distinguish these differences and what's essential. That's why it was so important for me to get together with you today. And also because I do plan on traveling in the future. And these are I can't use the word essential enough, especially moving forward, because in light of everything that's been going on. So we're very fortunate for Passport Health and the service that you guys provide. So I know I'll definitely be calling.
Thank you. As I mentioned before, we have offices, 2 in Manhattan, in Brooklyn, soon to be coming to Queens, and then Nassau and Suffolk. And we're part of a larger organization that has about 250 clinics across the United States. So we really are the largest provider of travel medicine and other preventative medicine services. So you're coming to a company that is very well supported in the United States.
No, and that's one thing. Next time we get together again for health, wellness, and lifestyle, it can't always be about beauty and skincare and stuff. We need essentials. So next time I want to talk about that. I want to talk a little bit more about travel medicine. People have a lot of questions.
Great.
It's such a necessity. People think that it's something hard to get or to find out about, but we're fortunate we have Dr. Eve. So thank you for joining us today, and I look forward to seeing you in the future again.
Thank you for having me again, Fay.
We'll see you soon.
See you soon.